Okay, on to the second restaurant now. Yeah, second restaurant. My first restaurant was in Philadelphia in 1993. And to the second restaurant, living in Northeast Pennsylvania. Not going to be specific, and everybody knows where I work. That has been anyone who's been listening to these this podcast or history of my work at a restaurant work. If they know me so well personally, they know where I work, but I'm only going to identify these restaurants in Northeast Pennsylvania. Um, this starts in March 2001, though my wife and I now we moved up here in February 2001, and we moved from Lancaster. And I did not start in restaurants at all. First of all, I worked for about a month in the hotels and at Ramada, Ramada in the square of the town, within about 15 20 minutes away. And I will say Ramada Inn, and it lasted only about a month because there wasn't enough work. The My supervisor was an okay guy. The general manager of the Ramada was not, and that's a totally different story. He's the one that influenced me to go from a driver's permit to a driver's license, and I'd love to tell that story one day. I will talk about that Ramada, but it's not much, and he wasn't a nice guy at all. But I left that Ramada Inn, and Ramada Inn no longer exists. It was taken over by Wilkes University. We go on to late March 24th, I believe, 2001, and I drive up to in the area where the restaurant business is very vaguely booming. One had just opened up. For legal purposes, I'm changing the name to Classic Italy, an Italian restaurant. It just opened up in end of March 2001. I started there 3 weeks after they opened. The news stations, I didn't realize they had been talking about. There was a line out the door, a huge line. The place is brand new to the area. They never had an Italian restaurant of this magnitude, a chain restaurant of this type. Now, told the story just recently, and made managers were surprised at this one. I've told this story many times of how I got hired at Classic Italy, and I hope I keep in mind that I'm talking about this particular restaurant, that I'll keep calling it Classic Italy. How I got hired that day is when I turned up a couple of streets and said the shopping plaza and other shopping plazas in the area of the streets were pretty much are still being worked on, brand new. Some stores hadn't not. The stores surrounding this restaurant, there's another restaurant behind them that wasn't even thought of yet. The other shopping plazas. Oh, hit the microphone. The other shopping plazas were not even finished yet. So this is how brand new this Classic Italy was. The day I was hired, very funny story. Walked inside, and this is before nowadays. It's now 2020, and I know it's probably in the past 10 years they tell everybody to apply online on the internet. You have to go through a personality survey beside of filling out your own personal information and work history. Back then, 2001, and before that, you had to fill out a paper application. When I walked in, the general manager, and I will give his name, Adam McManus, very cool guy. He was 24 years old, and very cool guy. And he went on to become a director of operations for the same company, the parent company I won't name, in another state where his wife lives. He wanted to take care of his wife. his wife is from another state, and he moved to that state. He became director operations. I'm happy for him that I can see who can be a manager and who can't be, who can be a general manager, who can't be. This guy, yes, I could see him going on to be director operations. Yes. This guy, for a 24-year-old, he knew what he was doing, and not many, even older ones, don't have the temperament to manage people. That day when Adam had me sit at the bar, and I didn't care, I didn't even realize it was a bar. I was sitting there, and we started filling paperwork out. We hadn't even written it. I'm not sure we even wrote anything down. One a manager or an employee comes to him, so they need something. They need his attention in the kitchen. We hadn't even walked in. I hadn't even walked in the kitchen yet. I'll be right back, David. Okay. Now, now, this is 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and every time I tell this story joke story of how I got hired at Classic Italy, is I didn't say the time that I had walked in and sat at the bar while Adam was filling out the job application. It was 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So I sat at the bar waiting for him. And here's the joke. I waited and 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 waited. I don't know how many times I say wait every time I tell the story. That's how funny it is. Next thing I know, is young, middle-aged woman. Now I'm trying to remember her name. It was unfortunately years after the years of being in that place. She was a good manager, and she got terminated. I was so sad to hear about that. She was good. She was good to me, treated me good. She asked me, "Can I help you?" Like I'm a customer. No, I'm waiting for Adam to finish this paperwork for job application. She says, Adam went home. What do you mean he went home? What time is it? And there's no clock whatsoever. No, we didn't have smartphones, and I didn't have a watch on me. What time is it? 5 p.m. I sat at that bar 3 hours. And honest to God, people, I don't have patience. Patience is not in my bloodline. I'm not kidding. Patience, I get frustrated or watch my own time when I work now. I watch my time. I get a little frustrated on time. Patience. There's a famous movie quote. Patience. I think it was Wesley Snipes in Demolition Man. Patience is not one of my virtues. He said Adam went home. She said Adam went home. I said, what, do you go out the back door? I didn't even see him walk by me. You go to the front door. He forgot about I was there. Oh my God! 3 hours have passed. I sat at the bar 2 to 5 p.m. in the afternoon. Oh boy! And I may have those fold-up cell phones. I might have. I'm surprised my wife didn't try calling me. Where are you? She said, "Oh, probably come back tomorrow. You're probably hired." I would assume you're probably hired. That's what she said to me. Okay, I'll come back next day. And I think it was Adam. I'm not sure. I don't remember if I called or I walked in and Adam said, "Okay, let's do finish the paperwork, get your uniform, get you started on the schedule." I had to tell this opening story of how I got started at Classic Italy. Very funny story. Okay, I've told the story of how I got started at Classic Italy, and one of the other stories is you would vaguely or different say. I wanted to say how busy it was. I always tell this story also how busy Classic Italy was. Like I said in this the beginning part of this podcast about it was brand new to the area, and like some restaurant businesses in this area of Northeast PA where I'm taping from. Recently, I'd say maybe a year ago. I don't know. A IHOP International House of Pancakes, brand new, and yeah, it got news attention, and but problems, it has a small parking lot. and that was a long-awaited restaurant. Classic Italy. It was a long-awaited restaurant, and it got incredible business. Remember, I said originally that I started there 3 weeks after they opened, and they opened very early March 2001. I started March 24th, 2001. I remember that my first date day. Believe, the reason why I remember the date of it when I began at Classic Italy was after, I think it's after 1 year you get a paid vacation. And it was 3 years, 2 weeks paid vacation. It was 5 years. That's what I'm not remember. I know first year play you get paid vacation. They no longer have the restaurant business no longer has these. A first year paid vacation. I think it's 5. Yes, 5 years paid vacation. And then when I lost the business, when I lost that job, I was 8 years. So I was I think I was eight. Yeah, I think it was 8 years. You get a month. Why am I thinking 10 years? No, I think it's 1 then 5 then 10. 1 then 5 then 8. Anyway, then they switched over. Then eventually they switched over, and managers could have a paid vacation, which is upsetting and disturbing. Anyway, it's not right. That's why I remember the date, because they say once you pass your anniversary date, that's why I always remember the day you start my day every time I started a job, because of Classic Italy saying. Remember, it would be almost a month. It would be like 3 weeks after your first year date, anniversary date, that you would receive. With 3 weeks after you receive your paid vacation money. That's why I always remember. That's the reason why I always remembered my first day of working anywhere. It's because Classic Italy set that up because of the paid vacation. Anyway, the story I was told was the incredible amount of business they did. Was in the news had broadcast. Apparently, if this is true, because the story, I'm the only one. My wife told me about this, and when we were watching the news, I didn't even realize we were seeing who I would eventually work for. There was a line at the door, and allegedly the line stretched all the way across the parking lot of the shopping center to a bookstore. If that's believable, conceivable, possible. A news chopper was over top of this. If that's allegedly true, and there's no way to confirm it, unless you see the video footage, and there's no video footage I know of anyway. Inside the business, well, in my first, I would begin working at nighttime for about a year. I think, yeah, about a year. I was working at nighttime, and fortunately. I can be fortunately, unfortunately. Fortunately, I thought we had enough staff. And this is where the story gets interesting. This kid I can't even remember his name or his age. He was vague. It was okay. I wouldn't say cool. He was okay. He would show me around, show me the ropes, whatever. I'm not a fan, nor am I am no trainer. You know, people that train me. Some people have been good at training me. This guy was okay. Some people are good. I am not a trainer. I don't have. I said before, I don't have the patience. I don't have the patience to train. I will respect this situation. Respect the time. If a manager tells me to show him the ropes, I'll do it. I will under my breath and tell this guy, nope, nothing personal, but buddy, I'm not. I just don't have the patience. I'll show you how to do everything, and everybody does everything their own way. I just don't have the patience, and I'll be very polite to the person. I won't say, "Oh, I don't want to train you." No, that's disrespectful. You never tell a manager no. You might be not like the way you're told to do it, but you never ever tell a manager no. You don't say, "I'm not going to do it." No, you don't do that. No. You might argue that it's done the wrong way. You want to do it your way. That might get in an argument, but you never, ever, ever, ever say no, or go out the door. I've never said no to something. I might disagree. You might disagree, but never say no. If you want to say, if you don't want to do it, they'll fire you. There's the door. Anyway, the kid was okay. I can't remember his age, but ironically, by the end of that shit, it was. I think it was, I don't know, it was that day or that week. I mean, it may have been a week. I'm not sure it was the same day or the week of that it started. And I to God, I'm gonna describe how busy he was in a second. Um, it was that week. We were all sitting. No, the business has slowed down, and another manager. I'm gonna give her name by only her first name, and I thought she was a cool manager, Jen or Jennifer. And I'm gonna respect her privacy by not saying her last name. Um, Her name was Jen. She was a cool manager, and I hope she listens. You know, to me, she knew me for a very long time, and I so much respected her. And I won't say her last name. Respect her privacy. Love and respect her. She was a really cool manager. I do miss her. I really wish I could make contact with her. She was really nice. And I think from the grapevine that she got pushed out or left because no, I don't know, personal life. She was pushed out or she left on her own volition. Anyway, missed you, Jen. I miss working with you. Um, yeah, a little upset with that. Some things, no, some things with Classic Italy were good, and it was the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'll describe later about this place. Some people I do remember and do miss. Anyway, how when we were talking was so slow that me, Jen, and that kid that no I'm gonna say kid because the person's up no is I'm in my I had to be in my 30s, but he was very younger than me. I know that. But we were all talking, sitting on a kitchen counter, and we're talking, and I said, I'm not sure I can handle this. I think I'm going to quit, find another job. He says to me, you handled it fine. You handled it good. And I'm not one for compliments. I can't stand it. I have a problem with compliments and positivity. It's a whole different story. But maybe because of this place or other places or no, it's a whole different story. Anyway, he was very positive and very complimentary. He just basically said you handle the fine. You'll do good here. Something like that. It's not verbatim. Not verbatim. It's not exactly what he said, but that alone inspired me to stay. And today, and managers who if anybody who knows who worked with me listen to this, you can't stand compliments. You hate positive. You're the most negative. I've said it myself. You're the most negative person I ever met. That's what. No, I've said it myself. And other managers I love to death and respect. They've said you're the most negative person I ever met. And this kid, all he said was, "You did good. And you did fine." And that inspired me to stay. And that inspired me to stay. Stayed 8 years. But the amount of business we did that just from that night and for next couple of years, I've always to tell the story of the amount of business we did. From my memory, we had 6 dishwashers, SIX, the number after 5, 6 dishwashers from my memory. One of us at collecting it, at the machine collecting dishes. One picking up dishes after they come out of the machine. Two at least. It was at least 2 people putting dishes and prepper away. There was 2 people at the sinks, at the 3 sinks in the back area, halfway to the prep area. 2 people working on other prep material, including the saute pans. There were tons and tons of saute pans. If anything I hated was the saute pans. You clean far more saute pans than anything else at Classic Italy. There were 2 people at maybe I've been 5. Maybe I've been 5. I believe I walked in and there was 5 of them, and I've been the 6th person. But one person, and I was put at learning to put the dishes and prepware away. I was helping the person remove the dishes from the rack. The rack was immediately to our right. There's I had to describe every restaurant positions all their sections. every place. That's that. I've always said, and anytime I've trained somebody, the hardest part of being a dishwasher is, yes, this is what I applied for, a dishwasher. That's why it was for 8 years there. The hardest part of being a dishwasher is learning to put everything away because every restaurant is different. That's exactly the problem. Every place is different. But and if you want to be a dishwasher, the hardest part is learning where everything puts away because the restaurant, every location does this different. Where you hang things, your utensils, your hand utensils, your containers. There's 100 things. You just got the hardest part of putting everything away. But there were 6 dishwashers. One at cleaning them, put the dishes in and prepare on the rack, burn the machine. 2 of us, one person pulling out of the machine, putting on the dishes, putting everything away. Two people working on saute pans. It was 6 dishwashers, but the servers there was a line of servers bringing trays of dishes. There was and they got it was so overwhelming even on us, and it was overwhelming on them. They put the trays of dishes. The stack of dishes was the entire. You couldn't see. You had to go around the corner of the dish counter to see the servers. They put the trays on the floor. They didn't want to wait. They put the trays of dishes on the floor. The stacks of dishes stacked 2 feet, or at least 1 to 2 feet in the air on a counter. That overwhelming. If we heard, it was a typical 3-hour wait. It was. I've always told the story many times. The amount of business was unbelievably out of control. But we were doing at least 45 hours a week. All of us, 40 to 45 hours a week at night. And I'm going to... I'll admit the recording of this, that last audio got a little bit long, so I had make a second part to this. I had said that we were doing 45 hours a week minimum, 40 hours. Typically, most businesses, they only want to keep you about they don't want to pay overtime. They stop you at 40 hours or 39 and some 39 and a half. In the first couple of years, the first day, first week, first month, the amount of business we were doing 45 hours a week. Hell, people were going beyond that. Anyway, with that the amount of business they were doing, holy cow. Classic Italy had incredible business, out of control business. Typically, you would maybe see you would tell customers, we're in a half hour wait. There was when you walked in at your 4 p.m. shift, typically the night shift would start at 4 p.m. Some people were in at 2 or 3 o'clock. For the 4 p.m. shift, some people were 4 or 5, 6 p.m. But 4 p.m. typically, 4 or 5 p.m. typically, you had, as the employee, had to say, excuse me, and push your way through a very thick crowd. There could be very thick crowds going to a movie theater, a club, some stores, like on Black Friday. Have you seen those lines of Black Friday, of massive outside lines? No way. You should have seen the crowd in the lobby, outside. You had to push your way through, and they're thinking you're a customer. Hey, where do you think you're going? As they say, excuse me, I work here. They'll let you through. They won't argue. They'll let you through. But that's how thick the crowd is in the outside of the doors, in the lobby, vestibule, what they called it. And oh my God, the line stretched from the double doors, and many restaurants have double doors now. From the double doors and from the front doors, inside the double doors, going into the lobby, right in front of the bar, the line stretched up to the dining room. They didn't keep out this. They let this line stretch all the way into the dining room. Is it the amount of business they're doing? And then one of the funniest stories about Classic Italy was how impatient the customers would be in this line that was allowed to go from the bar, past the double doors, and reach the dining room. It was an unbelievably long line. I'm surprised they let the line stretch all the way to the dining room. And I guess then is when the customers left. Now here's where the people got impatient. This happened at least 1 to 3 times. From memory, no, most time I remember, I'm in the kitchen. Sometimes I don't know how don't ask me how or why. I came out to, maybe I went to the, yes, I went to the bathroom. I went to the restroom. So I walked past from the kitchen door out to the restroom. And I heard, this is very, honest to God, it's very ignorant. And someone that I know work with in my current restaurant, he definitely not, since he had the name in his name, he wouldn't like that. He said no. He agreed with me. He's always said that about this place. He and I both said, as busy as this place was, the food was not that great. That'll be the first negative I'll say about this place. As popular as this place was, the food was not that great. I'm not a fan of pasta, and my wife knows that. Anybody knows me knows that I'm not a fan of pasta. So eating, it's a totally different story. I'll tell that later. What we did get to eat. Anyway, the story of how ignorant a customer or impatient these customers can be. One person, the most infamous moment I've ever had with a customer, and there are worse ones. I will tell that story too. I call it the dirt story. Anyway, this other customer was so impatient, and I'll have to add the word ignorant. Walked away from his place in line, went into the dining room, and yelled, "Will somebody get up so we can eat?" Yeah. When I told this story, that my co-workers are shocked at that one. He actually got out of line, went in the dining room, but the management or server was, I don't know if they said, "Please get back in line." I didn't know about that, but they have offered this when it's, especially with kids, and they got impatience, and I said they have a half hour. No, most places have a half hour. Classic Italy has reached to a point of an hour to 3 hour waits. How do you reach 3 hours? I have no idea. I'm not a host, not a host or manager. I don't know how you can inform people. I don't even know what a 3 hour wait even means. If they've got names written down ahead of time before you. That's the only thing I could think of. I don't know how you conceive the phrase hour to 3 hour wait. I don't know how, because I've never been a host or no manager, so I wouldn't know how you tell people or even write down how you configure what a long wait is on writing or tell people. Anyway, that had to be tell that story of that one person. I saw him get out of line and go and yell at. I don't. Somebody. It was either a service or a manager. I think a manager or service. I don't know who it was that he was talked to. I didn't hear it. I knew they talked to him, but I went in the restroom and went back in the kitchen. I didn't hear the rest of it, but I did hear him say, "Will somebody get up so we can eat?" I had to tell that story, how impatient the customers can get, but how busy Classic Italy got. The 1 hour to 3 hour waits, and I had to add this on. If we hear, like I said, 3 hour waits it's incredible to even hear or configure. How's it reached that level? If we heard the kitchen staff heard, we're on a 1 hour wait, that was quiet. Yeah, we thought, we conceived that, oh, that's quiet. We hear a 1 hour wait. When we hear 3 hour waits, days and weeks in the first year. Wow, hearing the 3 hour waits. Oh my God, we're gonna be here. We're gonna be here all night. And also, how long we were there for? No, just in the first night, first week, first month, first year, we didn't leave the kitchen staff as dishwashers, especially, and we had and else besides receiving all the prepper to use, all dishes used, silverware used. Holy cow! There's so much I gotta tell you. I'll be continuing this the amount of business we were doing, and you had to receive the containers, what's called a turnover from the cook line or expo. The turnovers, where now you got to put all brand new sauces into containers and be that way they're not used and dry whatnot from that night. They will, whatever's a loose sauce, loose material, loose prep, whatever you're gonna drop in the food and prepare the food for the dishes. I've never been a cook, so whatever they're gonna drop whatever loose and viable, usable for the next day. You turn over. So yes, I'm explaining that I have worked in a restaurant business. There's a dishwasher that I see the cook line. Many managers and kitchen staff have asked me to work on a cook line. No, absolutely not. They always thought as fast as I became a dishwasher that I could be as fast as a cook. I will never be a cook. I don't have the patience, nor I'd be scared to death of learning how to cook. It's a totally different story. I'll talk about that later. I'm scared to death of being a prep, prepare food. No, I'm scared of it. Any managers know I'm scared to death of it. A totally different story. We received all the containers that were turned over, and it wasn't even that kept us. We were there. We didn't leave until at least 1, 2, 3 in the morning. At least the latest we've ever been we've gotten done was 2:30 in the morning. And it's like, how in the world do you start 2:30 in the morning if most businesses are closed by 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday night? It wasn't really the turnovers by the cookware. It wasn't the prep containers, and all that can get overwhelming, as well as the dishes and the silverware. It was the people in the dining room. Anybody listening to this, have you ever heard of people staying, a mass crowd of people staying past the crowd at the door wasn't done. They would close the doors that you couldn't walk in past 11 p.m. They at least smart on that. The management and servers, hosts, they would lock the door. You couldn't open the door past 11 p.m. But there was still a crowd in that vestibule, in the double doors, enter the bar. There was still a crowd, and there was a crowd in the dining room. And this was 10:30, 11 p.m. The dining room was still full, going on midnight. So we still had the people finishing their dinner, and we had to receive those dishes. The crowd would not have left. We didn't get the dining room, the bus people, but either servers or bussers, even managers. They did not finish bringing the dishes from the dining room till the dining room had not cleared out of people. The last of the people we have not left until the dining room until 12:30 in the morning. That's how busy Classic Italy was. Holy mackerel! That's why, and then we had to finish the dishes, clearing the dishes, putting them away, finishing the prep work, putting that away, the silverware, and the turnover containers from the cook line, and the saute pans. We weren't done, and that's even without 6 dishwashers, 2. Within the first year, I think first 6 months, the 6 dishwashers were gone. We were down to 2 to 3. Then it's down to 2. They the control the labor cost, and we reduced it down to 2. It may be 2 to 3. Yeah, 2 to 3 of us. I think by the time we were out, the managers had hit the light controls, getting ready the alarm. There were at least 3 dishwashers, maybe a server. Host or server, probably 1 server left, 2 to 3 dishwashers, and a manager. We're walking out 2:30 in the morning, so I didn't come home to 3 o'clock in the morning. It was a half hour, 25. It was exactly 25 minutes, half hour drive home. Yeah, did that for about a year, 1 to 3 years at least. And there's a add-on story of how impatient the people. I said the story about that one person who was impatient about just getting a table. How about leaving? One time, and I don't think this happened multiple times. This was one time, and I never saw a repeat this at any other restaurants. I have to add this. I'm gonna end the this part 1 with this story of how impatient. We were so close. The management says, "Okay, everybody ready to go?" Okay, I'm gonna say, okay. He hits the lights, and just before he hits the alarm code, 2 women come stomping. They come because the lights went out. The next day, when we told this story to the servers and hosts that came in the next day, we told them about these 2 women. and somebody remembered them. Remember, we're walking out 2:30 in the morning. These women were sitting at that table in the back, way in the back, since 6, 7 p.m. at night. 6, 7 p.m. at night. They came stomping. This is from carpet to tile. I'm stomping my floor. They came stomping out because the lights went out on them. They were out. They had been there for 6 some odd hours. They came stomping. God, we can't even sit at a Now, I can't get this verbatim. Exactly what they said. It's something along the lines of, God, we can't even sit at a table. Something like that. They were upset they couldn't sit there all night. They were talking. They ate dinner, but they were talking the whole night. They took that table up the whole 6 odd hours. What restaurant would allow people to stay that long? I don't know. But they were really pissed. They were upset. They were stomping their feet, walking out. They were upset that they were, the lights went out on them. we didn't say a word. They were watching. We didn't expect 2 customers were still there. Where did these people come from? That was a long time story. I always had to tell that one. People who were 2 women had stayed there. So then the manager hit the alarm and we left for the night. So that was the beginning of Classic Italy. The memories. Every place has its problems. In all the restaurants I ever worked, most did not ignore the problems. They dealt with it firsthand and may take time for a manager to get around, call for repair, have us try to fix the situation. Imagine a place that ignored their problems until it was going to almost end up in the hands, that their customers, their guests, would have to see it or deal with it. Classic Italy many times ignored the building falling apart. Their machines, their whatever gets backed up, whether it's dishes, whether it's there are so many things that place chose to not deal with until it interfered with business. For starters, that was so disturbing that I had earlier said that they did such tremendous business, but the dishwashing machine could not handle this amount of business. The machine had a wash motor and a conveyor motor. And many dish machines, and many restaurants have the same thing. The amount of business this machine had to deal with, both the conveyor motor and the washer motor broke 4 times. F-O-U-R. The number 4. 4 times each. They had to call out Ecolab or Hobart, those that deal with the machine. In the middle of a rush hour, dinner time, many times. They wouldn't. We had to literally beg them. We need to get this fixed. We were pushing the racks of dishes through. And times when the machine was broke, they expected us to clean the dishes or prepware, whatever, silverware, in a 3-base sink, and that's a basis of that's a policy by health inspection or the parent owner of Classic Italy alone. And the 3-base sink, it is supposed to deal with dish. I don't agree with it whatsoever. Whether it's the health department or any restaurant business or parent owner, I don't agree with it all that dishes should be cleaned in a 3-base sink. And I've seen many I think Ecolab
image signs of how to do this. I don't agree with it whatsoever, because I don't call it sanitary. Even with it's water, it's soap water, and it's rinse water. And how many times you have to constantly change them, put a dropping silverware. You know, you can't even run racks of glasses, racks of cups into this water either, because it's just not compatible. It's not physically compatible. It can't be done that way. I would have loved to work with Ecolab, but many managers have asked me, why don't you work for Ecolab? Or I would be a good at restaurant inspection for how many years I've worked in the business. And they say, and I've looked it up. I did look up about looking up how I could apply for a job at Ecolab, but you need a degree in chemicals. So the dish machine we had problems with the dish machine, and even times when many years I closed when we were scrubbing and spraying we scrubbed the floor, the tile floor, and sprayed it all down. But the nights that I did not, I was not a closer. No, I had gone from the first year, and I ended up going the rest of the 8 years I was there. The first year was night, and I ended up doing 7 odd years daytime. But so it was the night staff that was spraying the floor, and they sprayed whatever silverware was on the floor, broken dishes on the floor, broken glass on the floor, trash on the floor. They wouldn't sweep that up. They sprayed them down a drain. The drain went back up, and this is where it gets worse. I said I would never apply disgusting, and there are a lot of disgusting stories I could tell about, especially about Classic Italy and many restaurants. They had to use bring in plumbers twice to run a camera down and see that the drain underneath the sink, the drain underneath the dish machine would back up water. I wouldn't say sewage, but just water, whatever was in it would back up. It was maybe the second or third time, maybe the first time, the water was so backed up, and the managers knew that they were spraying down, like I said, the silverware, broken dishes, broken glasses, trash. Instead of sweeping, they would spray them down the drain, and that would back up. And they had twice had plumbers run cameras down, and plumbers do this when they run a snake machine to clear the drain. They run a camera down, and they tell them what they found. One time, the floor drain was so backed up, and this was during a dinner rush, the water reached all the way to the door path leading into the dining room, and there was it wasn't pungent, it wasn't skunk, it wasn't stink. It was close, but it reached to the dining room entrance. Finally, they called the plumber to get it cleared. That's how long. That's called ignoring the problem. And I said about this chapter about every business has its problems. Classic Italy decided to ignore it until it reached the dining room. And customers, your guests cannot know there's problems. That was a quote by a manager who's a good friend of mine. Scott. He once said to me, customers can never know a restaurant has problems. I agree with that. Partially. I'd partially agree with that. There's one other thing that I at Classic Italy I have to really, really express disturbing the attitude. How hypocritical they were when it comes to problems with staff toward management or toward themselves. I've said about Classic Italy that I've said that many in this year alone that there was a war between the kitchen staff and serving staff. Nobody got along, and that's a known fact. Nobody got along. It was war. Honest to God, it was war. Verbal. Things were thrown. Anyway, I said it was a revolving door. Would be verbal arguments with between management and staff to staff, in the break room or sitting room or however they labeled it. There was and there's a sign on this wall that said in large letters, and I'm talking 1 foot plus size letters, no fear of retaliation, meaning it was more about reporting a manager offending you or threatening you. Classic Italy, and I think everybody would know what restaurant I'm actually talking about, and I said legally change the name. Hypocritically, Pennsylvania is an at-will state, meaning they can fire you for any reason except for a religious basis, gender basis, sexual basis, something along those lines, whatever the exact rules are. But you didn't have to worry about your job on the line. The manager cannot retaliate against you for reporting him. Are you kidding me? Oh, many people wouldn't hold back. They say, "I'm not going to put up with this crap." They'll argue with the manager and walk out the door. Oh, I'll get a job somewhere else. And I've heard that many times, countless times. People have walked out. As I said, it was a revolving door. But to say there's no fear of retaliation, that's contradicting to those words. No fear of retaliation. You can't have it both ways. Every business has its problems, whether it's mechanical, the staff not getting along, and for a restaurant to ignore its problems until it ends up in the eyes, the ears, nose, hands, food, dishes. When a customer ends up realizing it somehow, they will not allow the customers to learn of a restaurant's problems, and they ignored it. And there's more to this. There's a lot more to tell.
Every business, every restaurant have their negativities. It is something that is you want to keep your job, keep a paycheck. I was trying to be so careful about what I was going to talk about. Classic Italy. I had to legally change the name of the actual name. There's so many things I could say that were problematic about Classic Italy and its parent company. One of the funniest things I have to tell that they had a good health insurance. They covered a lot. I'll give them that. One of the funniest stories, before I get into the truly off the cliff negative stories. The first thing I have to bring up is it's going to be it's going to be broken up into several different parts. The different stories of what went wrong and what was wrong about this place. And every restaurant can have its problems, negativities, and what you don't like about the place. Not me, but most staff, anybody that's ever worked in any business or any restaurant, will say, they have their own, what they see as a problem. Most people just don't want to put in their hard work time, a hard day's work. And that's why I had said that the Hispanics were great workers working for me at the dish area. And most Americans, most restaurants I've ever encountered, when they put dishes and silverware or prepware. It does just run everything through the machine without spraying nothing off. You know, that's a lot of restaurants. They just don't do the way things I do. Everybody does it in any position they do. They do things the way they want. They do things their way rather than what the company wants, and that's one of the key arguments between management and staff. Is oh God, I won't feel like doing this. It's going to take so long, and that's one of the key problems between management and staff. Micromanaging is the word. Is one you might want to do that with staff that are brand new. First day, first week, first few weeks. But you don't do it for someone that's been around for years. And Classic Italy, like a couple of other places, did that to me. And everybody. They micromanaged. They watched you every second of the time. And some did not, and were not around, did not help do your job, but help when you needed to get something done. Machine's not working. We're out of soap. We're out of this. Something. No. It's more important to the management to deal with. Yes, true. The management has to deal with the business. But if you're so new and don't know how to correct the situation, management needs to be there to help you. Classic Italy did not. Back to one of the funniest stories I ever told about Classic Italy was their health insurance card. And when doctors saw this card, what a WTF! Anybody knows what that WTF stands for? That's a lot of them with Classic Italy. A lot of them say, "What in the world?" The insurance card. Okay, on one side is all the insurance information you will need, address, a lot of info, and their phone number. But it's such microscopic, like any card, the size of your driver's license, like any other card. A health insurance card. But on the opposite side, I'm not sure what will be on the opposite side of the insurance company name. Maybe. No. Classic Italy's parent name, I'm not going to give that name. 6 letters, red colored, but if the card were in height 2 inch, if it was 1.5 inches, the letters were 1.5 inches. In size. They took up the entire card. Give an example. I'm going to make up a fake parent name. 6 letters. Okay, I'm looking at my DVD cabinet. I'm seeing I've seen one particular movie. I'm going to use the second word, nation. No, another word for country. Nations. Nation. Okay, you take the Nation and put it in a size of, not in width, but the height of the card. It took up the entire 1.5 inches, Nation, 6 letters. Now imagine, okay, Nation is the name of the parent company, and that's all you see in large letters on the card. And the company, and whether it's the people that deal with insurance in a hospital, the doctors, and what in the world is this? Why would you would put it in a microscopic in the lettering on the other side? Okay, you would contact them, or no, you wouldn't contact the parent company. You wouldn't contact their health insurance or whatever they deal with in health insurance. However, the parent company or Classic Italy, how their health insurance works, who you contact to whatever information you need to exchange information between. Who owns Classic Italy and the hospital. That would be in the information side of the card. Classic Italy, like I'm using an example, the word nation. They put nation on the other side of the card. Jesus. Oh, the arrogance! I always label that arrogant. Classic Italy is so arrogant. Yeah, when they first opened. March 2001, and they were the first brand new restaurant in the area compared to the older ones. The oldest ones I knew of, there was two breakfast restaurants. One was Denny's, and the other one I will
later name. They were the I think the two oldest, and they were the big boys in the area, and I know that's long gone, long gone. I think that closed and torn down by the time we moved up here. Classic Italy was the first brand new Italian restaurant in the area, with all the shopping centers that just finished being built. But as far as Classic Italy is concerned, they had a very vague right to say, "Oh, we're the brand new restaurant in the area." Yes, they had a strong right to say they were the brand new restaurant in the area. But as other restaurants started opening up, they're so arrogant that they were the only restaurant in the area. They never acknowledged even Denny's. No, oh yeah, we're the the first biggest brand new Italian restaurant in the area. But they were so arrogant that they just did not want to accept competition. They ignored competition. The only restaurant, it was a steak restaurant. A steak restaurant opened up behind them. I won't acknowledge that name. I didn't have problems with it. I just won't acknowledge the name. They had a restaurant open up behind them, and they did build. They were exchanging, some products. I helped with that. Management of the other place, of the steak place. We exchanged, containers, portioning containers, a lot of it. So they worked along with them, but Classic Italy was unbelievably arrogant. And I think Italian restaurants in general, I think they're very arrogant. Oh man, Classic Italy was the type of place that they had the double fork knife. No, one fork for eating, one fork for salad. Also, wine glasses. A ton more wine glasses than they had. They didn't have plastic glasses. Classic Italy wanted to be a form. They wanted to think they were a formal dining. They acted like they were a 5-star restaurant, and I don't even know what. I off the top of my head don't even know what the star restaurants. No, you know what a star level hotels are, but Classic Italy wanted to very much believe they were a 5-star restaurant. Nowhere near. That's how arrogant they believed they were. Wine glasses, and the only time they would take the wine glasses away when a table was being set up is it were children being parents bring children with them, and when the rule where the servers were told if their children being sat, the wine glasses were taken away. Left for the parent, and all 4 wine glasses were taken away. The parents would say, "Where are you going with those glasses?" Okay, the parents want to drink in front of their children. Oh man, did I see that? I just saw that yesterday. Where I'm working now, just saw it yesterday. Bar was making 3 glasses, 3 glasses per a couple different mothers. I saw that yesterday. Don't even get me started on my what I think alcohol. Oh, this is just part 1 yet of so many stories about Classic Italy. I've been trying to figure out one of the most positive stories, and I have very few positive stories about Classic Italy. Yeah, I was 8 years. I was there, worked for 8 years there, and it was like, honest to God, it felt like a boot camp. I gotta tell this joke. I know. I gotta tell this joke about the place. I'm amazed that the place is still open. They opened in 2001. Next year will be 20 years. Amazing. I'm flabbergasted. I'm floored that place is still running, and from my memories of how it was operated. And we had good managers and bad managers. Every restaurant, every business has those good managers, bad managers, and staff too. Good staff, bad staff. When it came to how much money you make, And one rule, it's a policy, I don't say a company policy, but it's a hidden rule that staff you never speak about. Never speak about how much money you make. Whether you start at what a company considers their minimum wage. And I don't mean the state or national wage whatsoever. What a company says, no, what wages they start you out on. Classic Italy did pay very well, and you made a lot of hours, especially. Well, besides that, and then some staff would brag. Here's the one that came the argument of how much money I did end up making in the end at Classic Italy, a couple different times. Is these people they hire were not from the restaurant business, and they would complain and bitch and whatnot. They would, oh my god, they would complain that they weren't making enough. And when I heard what this person said, they're not making enough, and they're the dishwasher, no tag teaming with me, tag team dishwashers. I forgot about that phrase I used to say. He would complain he's not making enough, and I heard his wage, and I went to Adam. That first year I went to Adam. It was within the first year, and I said, "How is he? He's making more than I am, and I've been here 6 months longer." And he looked in the computers and he said, "Whoa, you're right." So he upped my wage, and I ended up getting raises about 2 to 3 times based on people complaining they're making more. They're not making enough. I got a raise. My time there, and over the years you'll get raises. All in Classic Italy were good at paying good wages. I'll give them that. They also gave Pauline. I said earlier, Pauline she received a plaque for Employee of the Year. They had been giving out plaques for, not plaques. No, sorry. They gave an announcement, Employee of the Month, and I received mine one day. Adam announced it. And he says this quarter, I remember it so well. David does this thing. When I went to office a couple days later and asked, how did I get this Employee of the Month? And it was, it's voted on by the managers. And what was the vote? 2-1, or 3-1. But I remember, I'm pretty sure it was 2-1. I'm wondering who the one person was that voted against me. And the person, I asked the one manager who it was, what the vote was. There's another manager sitting in an office, and he gave a real frowning face, unhappy, or his mouth was downward, and I guess he was really uptight. Maybe it's my point of view, but I think he was the vote. When I asked the question of I wonder who voted against me, and he very vaguely looked at me, and I think it was him, but I don't remember who it was. But the 2-1 vote, Jesus. I tell the employee, I did get Employee of the Month, did make some good money. They also gave good the vacation pay. And what was disturbing, I think I had discussed earlier in this video about the vacation pay that 1 month, it's 1 year, 1 year it's a week, 3 to 5 years 2 weeks. It's hard to remember this one. Whatever, they gave good vacation pay until that finally ended. I think I did tell this story about the vacation pay. They were good at vacation pays. They were good at wages. Sometimes they get Employee of the Month, most outstanding person, Employee of the Year. No one I ever knew when I got that was Pauline. The few positives Classic Italy was known for. Yeah, with my negative stories, I'm trying to be very careful because there are a lot of very harsh, very bad, very disgusting stories I can really give. I've told for so many years about what happened in classic Italy. Um, One of the most difficult things I ever had to deal with is training people. And many of the restaurants I've told managers I don't like to train. Two parts of that problem. The reason I never like to train. And Classic Italy had a problem with people who were trained. Before I tell my problem, the one in Classic Italy had a major problem with training people. The one, and this happened in the last few years I was there. It was so disturbing that they had a girl who was bound salad, not even barely between 4, 5, 6 days. I know she said to me, "I've only been here a week." Quote: I've only been here a week, and then they had her training somebody. A week. This girl's barely breaking herself in and learning the ropes of how to do her position, and they had her training somebody. It takes about, in Classic Italy, believe me, it took a week, maybe a month, to learn your. As busy as that restaurant incredibly was, and you heard before of how busy the place was, how out of control it was, on hour-long or several-hour-long waits, and you put a person on someone who's been trained. I don't know if we used to call them the veterans, like myself, who were there for a year or several years, and they have the veterans train the person for that position, what section of the restaurant was. And I think it was a veteran of long-time workers of Classic Italy that would train the person. But even if they did, and they've only been there a week, you can't push training on that same person in a week. In another restaurant I left, I said that story too, and the manager laughed. Are you kidding me? And I said, when they had someone being trained, their policy was, in this other restaurant, not Classic Italy, this other restaurant manager said to me, their policy was they would not have anybody training unless they've been there a year. Classic Italy had someone training in a week or less. Maybe they're good at it, but this person was not ready to train. Now, when it comes to me, the problem with my training was, and I literally I practically have counted. It was I counted at least 40 people I trained, at least, in Classic Italy alone. You clean the restrooms, and there were six toilets in each. 6 toilets and it was 6 toilets, 6 urinals, and in the women's room, 3. There was 3 toilets. There was 3 toilets, 3 sitting down toilets in men and women's room, and 3 at least. I know it was more than 1 urinal, 1 or 2 or 3. I'm not sure. But they had to be white glove clean. I'm not kidding. 11 a.m. or so, the managers would actually, I'm not kidding, military white glove clean. That's how strict Classic Italy was. When I had to train someone, it was cleaning the restrooms and scrubbing the tile floors up front and cleaning the parking lot and setting up the dish area. No, I did it. I've done it at every restaurant I've worked at. And I still enjoy it myself, but I'm not a good trainer. Number one reason I'm not a good trainer. This part has nothing to do with the restaurant business, but I don't have patience in my blood. I have patience when I absolutely have to. I ignore when I become impatient. But when I want something I need to get done, and a person says they're ignoring me, or they're taking too long, and they'll get around to it, I will go do it myself. The old phrase, if you want something done right, get it done, do it yourself. Well, it's my patience. I will run circles around somebody and just get it done very fast. I'm impatient when it comes to getting something done, something I was cleaning. That's just myself. When I was done training somebody, within a day's time, And this got told. This has happened about out of maybe 40 some odd times I trained. I'd say this happened about 10 to 20, 10 to 15 times. About 10 to 15 times I heard this within it. The person I trained, I heard at least several times say to me that the other staff, whether it's prep cook or whomever, said, "Don't worry how David showed you. Just go and do whatever you want to do or how you want to do it." It was a quote that said, "Don't worry about how David showed you. Just do whatever you want to do, or however you want to do it." And but in other restaurants, the managers would say, "Yeah, people would, no matter how you train them or how they learn to do this in a restaurant, they end up doing it their own way." That was true about me. That you learn how the restaurant does it. Sometimes by policy, you have to do it the way they want it done. When I did it my way, it was far more efficient and effective, and that's where a good manager is not micromanaging. Meaning, no, you have to do it this way. Many times when they brought in somebody, bring in somebody new, that they either I'll get thrown off. I'll get thrown off. I was trying to think of the right word. I'd be thrown off balance if I wasn't, either if I'm told the day before or the day of when we're walking. Okay, you're going to be training somebody. Oh my God! Here's the thing: when I was training somebody after so many years of being in a restaurant business, I would actually acknowledge, "Oh my God! Okay, I told the trainee this. This has buddy. No. This is nothing with you personally at all. Whether you worked in a restaurant or not." When I say, "Oh my God," I like to do things by myself, and I get done far faster by myself, and all management knows that. And I think nowadays, they would have somebody else do it. I've always acknowledged I'm unbelievably negative, and my negativity is so funny that I just yesterday said. My negativity is one manager, another restaurant. I'll acknowledge in another video. I said she once said to me, You're the most negative person I ever met." And I acknowledge, "Thank you." How can anybody laugh at that? Well, it comes from the MASH joke. If you ever watched the hit sitcom MASH, the hospital in Korea, in the Korean War in the 50s, it was a hit show in the 1970s. Frank, their idiot doctor, says to Hawkeye, he says, "Hawkeye, you're the most unmilitaristic man in this man's army." And Hawkeye would say, "Thank you." So I took it from the MASH joke. "You're the most negative person I ever met. Thank you." I would openly acknowledge I'm negative, but that's just me. But when it comes to restaurant business, another manager yesterday just said, "Do what you think is best for the company." Maybe he wasn't sure what to do, or the management was on the cook line, and this kid had just come in, and he says, "I wasn't sure or know what to do right now," and the manager says, "Do what you think is the best interest of the company. Just go stand at your position, get your area ready, get the restaurant ready for whatever your position was." There's where micromanaging is the worst thing. And this is a direct message to all managers, whoever listens to this video. You only micromanage somebody who's brand new. They gotta learn the ropes. You learn the policy. You learn how the restaurant wants their position done, how they want something made or done. You only micromanage somebody who is brand new, day one, first couple of days. 3, 4, 5. No, I think the micromanage has to end within, say, the 4th or 5th day. You don't go a week or a month and keep doing it and keep doing it. If that's what you think is being a manager, micromanaging, the other part of micromanaging that I think needs to be done, if you think the person is not fast enough, not doing it right to your standard or specs, not doing it effectively, efficiently. Okay, from that point of view. You don't keep micromanaging it because it's part of the job. Maybe it's micromanaging is part of the job. Not to constantly do it every single day for months and years. That's insane. That's ridiculous. And there's been many managers that is as good as I was, and as good as effective, efficiently, fast as I was. They would pull me away to do something that I'm not either trained for. I know I'm not like preparing. I'm scared to death of preparing food, portioning. And I will make a separate video about that. The one thing that really killed my about being pulled or being brought into the prepare area. Classic Italy's fault. One negativity I definitely want to acknowledge, it's not really a bad story, and I could tell a lot of bad stories a lot of different places, especially Classic Italy. One thing I really want to bring up is something they were right about. It's one of the rare things that any restaurant I've ever seen, it was internally put in. They had a microphone system, and between the cook line, it's ironically funny why they even needed it. They had a microphone system between the cook line and prepare area, portioning area, and you're talking no more than 2 to 4 feet distance, right behind themselves. But there was a wall between the soup and prepare area and the cook line, and they had a microphone system, and they were able to call what they needed. It was a good idea, I guess. It was a good idea. The one negative moment I ever saw with the microphone system, and Jen had picked it up. The one thing I'll give Classic Italy, one of the few things they were right about, a cook was never allowed to say now. I need pasta now. No, that's very rude. You're working to prepare people and the cook line. Yes, you're all working the same amount of hours. I think prepare people work far more longer hours. I'll acknowledge the prepare people, preparation and portioning. They work far longer hours. Cook line maybe 8, 9, 10. It might be a tie. I think, from my point of view, I think prepare people were along because they came in the morning. The cooks, there was one cook setting up the cook line, and the cooks would start at 10, 11, and 12. I think the prepare people were there from 7 a.m. all the way till as long as I was 4, 5, 6 at night or longer. So prepare people, I think, were around a lot longer than a cook line, especially Classic Italy there, from my point of view. But in that microphone system, when a cook, I only heard it one time, and that cook, you never were allowed to say, "I need pasta now." You never were allowed to say now. It is rude. It's demanding. And when Jen heard it, she stared at this guy from the one side of the cook line. She stared, and I would assume he got pulled in the office. I don't know. Fired. I have no idea. I know he would probably been talked to about it. The word now was never allowed. You say, please, pasta, please, pasta, or we need pasta. We need some whatever thing they were cooking needs to be cooked. We need it. We up, on the fly. That I hear that even where I work now. Many restaurants they would use the phrase or term on the fly. We need pasta on the fly. It meant it need to be sold. The other terminology that was allowed in many restaurants is on the fly, to be sold. Yes, on the fly and to be sold were the proper way to say we need this now. No, instead of saying this is now because it's rude, you say we need it on the fly or need it to be sold. It had to go out immediately. But that was the proper way to say it, not now. It's rude and demanding. something I had to really bring up. That they Classic Italy had right about it was really strange, that microphone system. I guess maybe they didn't, it's the only restaurant I've ever heard of that had a microphone system. When how many negativities I can talk about Classic Italy in there, and I can really get disgusting. There are disgusting moments, but I'm not going to put it in this podcast, and I know a lot of people would want to hear it. There's many places. I've seen places that are 20 years old, very old places, that were never taken care of for many years. Oh, man. But like I said, I'm not going to get disgusting. I could. But there are other stories which I'm gonna finish off this video with. I'm gonna finish with two more stories about Classic Italy. One of the funniest things, and actually there's a third story, and I'm gonna finish the video with a third story I just thought of. Somebody I work with, who's a server, and he was there with me from the beginning, and we have said this quote, both of us, about something about the food of Classic Italy. I'm gonna finish the video off of that, and it's so funny. However, the first two I'm gonna finish it off with is how servers can be rude, but they would be selfish in their point of view. I'm talking to someone else. I said someone who worked in the salad area. She had been there only a week, and it's the same person I said that was had been told to train someone else, and she only been there a week. And I'm talking to this person. She was a nice girl, just talking to her, and I talked about my family past. And I talked to problems I had with my father. Then suddenly a server, I didn't even know the server was behind me, screams at the top. She was so loud, I was shaking. I was shaking like a tree in high wind, powerful wind. I was shaking when she yelled this. Complained about my father, and apparently I've been talking about my father a lot. I didn't even know she was behind me. And she screams this: "I'm sick and tired of hearing about your father. Get a life!" I was shaking like a tree in 60-mile-an-hour winds. Whoa! I should have said, "Who the hell was talking to you?" I should have. When I said this to other people, what this server had said to me, the first thing is, yeah, I agree with it. I should have said, well, who's talking to you? I was talking to her. Unbelievable. People can't mind their own damn business. One of the last times I ever trained anybody, it's probably the 40th time. This kid I was training, he had to be no more than 19 to 25 or less. And when I told him, like I said before, that you don't get over the dish until it's 10 o'clock in the morning for someone opens, and I showed him about cleaning the restrooms and scrubbing the tile floors and clearing the water off and what we know. It's time consuming, especially with a place the size of Classic Italy. It was quite a large place to clean. When we got out to the parking lot just to sweep, it was in a few seconds, and then we start picking a little bit of trash off its kind of high hill. This kid then says, "What's this got to do with dishwashing?" I gave him his own dustpan and broom. I had my own, and he just walked right off the property. I finished clean the parking lot by myself. Walked back in, and I think it was Manager James, I hate to this day, told him that he walked off the property. Do you know what this manager says to me? "What did you do to him?" What did I do to him? Someone that was not raised to work ethics. This kid, I don't think he's ever been in a restaurant business. I don't think this kid's ever worked a day in his life. Him, but think of his age. And apparently James had trying to get hold of the other managers, and they got fed up with James saying, how many times did he have to call that this kid walked off a property? They said that apparently half a dozen times. They claimed it was half a dozen times. Repeatedly said this guy walked off the property, and all I heard it actually two or three more times. What did I do to him? And they were laughing, making a joke of it. Management, serving staff, whomever in the kitchen, they're saying, "What did I do to him?" And what do you mean, what did I do to him? This kid, since he walked off, he didn't care. What's this got to do with dishwashing? I told him all the part of the duties you have to do. It's one of the reasons I don't like cleaning. One of the reasons I don't like training. One of the reasons I don't like training people. Some won't care. Some are punk kids that weren't raised work ethics. One of the ultimate stories I've ever told about Classic Italy, about it ignoring its problems, is one winter. And so I've been there 8 years. One winter. It's I just can't figure out how the law enforcement got involved in this, or how Classic Italy's business was so busy that the entire dining room was filled. If the parking lot was filled with cars, and an impending snowstorm, or there already was a tremendous amount of snow. That's what I don't remember. Was it an impending snowstorm, or the snow had already, it was so tremendous they were going to shut down roads? And I don't know why. I must have been heading into the restrooms out of the kitchen, because in comes state police and the National Guard. One person, they're both in uniforms. State police in their uniform, and National Guard. One person. He was in army fatigues for National Guard, and wondering why we were still open. And we weren't paying attention outside. We were so busy, we weren't paying attention to the outside weather. When one of them said, and management was outside, out in the dining room or the bar area, right outside dining room, they weren't realizing that they weren't there as customers. They were very loud. Why are we still open with a snowstorm? And the patrons didn't no reply. The customers said nothing. They were just eating. When the state police and National Guard questioned management, why are they still open with a snowstorm? The reply was, only the director of operations can shut them down. Well, he said that, I'm not sure which one. I think it was a guy from National Guard. I think he talked more. He said, get your director of operations on the phone. I'll talk to him. And we watched them. The two of them, state police and the National Guard. They walked into the office, got him and they were on the phone. Management got him on the phone. Their claim was that now direct operations got to be low, somewhere in the region of the state. Not the claim I heard is they called the state of Florida, is where the parent company is. But you would think the director of operations, he would be in the state the director of operations for that particular location of Classic Italy would be in state of Pennsylvania. For our particular location. Well, got him on the phone and it said, we have a major snowstorm and you have to close, because we all closed. And Denny's was right down the street, maybe a mile, half mile, 3/4 mile. It's very, very close. They shut them down, and Denny's never shuts down. And they closed them down. They just come from that location. We're closing all restaurants. He's on the phone with the director. And seemingly the director of operations for Classic Italy for that particular location argued that he was arguing with him. And the National Guard on the phone said to him, "Sir, I remember this so well, so vivid. Sir, if you don't order your management to close this location down, the next call you get is from the governor of the state." That was a direct threat. The National Guard, he hands the phone over to management and said he wants to talk to you. And we were listening. There were 3 or 4 or 5 of us at the office door listening to this. And the reply to the manager, the director, had said, how long would it take to close? Well, we've got a dining room full of people, and it's going to take time to get everybody their food to be paid, and just get everything cleaned up. We were just going to abandon the restaurant right that second. They were not. Classic Italy was not prepared to do it. They would not be ordered to do it or threatened to do it. And the management told the director on the phone, "Okay, give us some time." And the National Guard says, "How long would it take?" It says, "An hour." No, people, we were there for 2.5 hours, at least 2 hours. The management went in the dining room, said law enforcement's shutting us down to some kind of weather conditions, and I think they only charged them half their meal, a quarter to half their meal. They did not get charged full meals, something along those lines. They had to compensate for people leaving; they couldn't finish the meals, and they get takeout containers. And they may have gotten compensated for meals. I don't know. But the dining room emptied out pretty quick. I'd say we were in the back. We're collecting. We got a ton. All these dishes incoming. We were there for I'd say an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes. It was a while, but I had to tell this story. I've always often told this story how they overrode. We weren't just going to abandon everybody. However, they're going to do their customers, but they were not going to just abandon all the tables full of dishes or the dish area or the cook line. Everybody out. No. Classic Italy was not about to do that. No. Now, I just told the story how the National Guard State Police closed Classic Italy due to a snowstorm. Now, however, there was a positive story that, excuse me, said our GM in our first year, Adam, a guy that knew what he was doing. He cared about the staff very much, very, very much. And we drove in with a major snowstorm. It was well over 1 to 2 feet. It was a major one, so badly that our local roads, our local main expressway was so bad that no matter how the plows continued to remove snow, it was coming down heavy. We were scheduled to come in every day at 7 a.m. Set up for the day, like most restaurants. Adam got on the phone with the director, and by 8, it was close to 8 o'clock in the morning. We were there 7, and even the one, and it was one of the people in prep. This girl in prep, who I said she had diabetes. I don't remember her name, but I think she's still there to this day. She's from day one. I think she's been there forever. She was there, and she I think took a bus, and I don't know what transportation she took, but she was climbing over the snow. I opened, and then I was there parked in the parking lot, and I opened up her door. I said, "Hey, sit in my car." Why are you gonna sit there freezing? That's ridiculous. And then it was me, her, I think one other person, and Adam. We opened up at 7. And it was an incredible snowstorm. As I said, the main expressway, the plows could not clear it. They could, and they never cleared it. It was so bad. He got on the phone with his bosses, and by 5 of, I know it was very close, 10 of 8 to 7:55 in the morning, he said, "Okay, we're going home. We're closed. We're not even opening today." That's how much Adam cared. We could have been stayed there till 11 o'clock in the morning, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. Then he says, "Oh, if we're not doing any business by 11, 12, there's no, they're cut labor." No, Adam knew how bad this snowfall was. They want to kill labor fast, and they didn't even open it up that day. And I have so much respect for Adam, not just for that day, but he cared about he cared about us, the staff. He cared about the business, and he looked into a one day glum future that snowstorm was going to kill business, and they couldn't weren't able to pay labor, so it wasn't worth it. He called and made sure we're not going to open up, and that snowstorm lasted the entire day. A lot of roads got closed. I had to tell that story about the day we didn't open up, and Adam, he made sure that he was cool for making that call. He would have probably, in the previous story I said that how National Guard State Police shut us down, and we didn't shut down for 2 more hours. We had to clean up everything. Adam would have abandoned the restaurant for one day, left all dishes, left everything, and we'll clean up next day. He would have. All right, this I just had said that I was actually scared of. I'm frightened of prepare a portion food, and I'm one person who is a long time, a very very long time who prepared food, proportioned food, very long time. He said to me, "I've never knew a dishwasher that didn't do prepare first." And many dishwashers who have ever been hired in many restaurants would first they just if there's no business going on, business is just starting, or it's quiet, they would go away, they would be taken away, or they would leave the dish area and go into the prepare area or portion area, bag food up. And I've heard that many times. And I also was involved in that. I know I got pulled, yanked, grabbed, kidnapped. I did not have fun preparing food. Now I'm going to tell a story that turned into PTSD. And you would think, wait a minute, PTSD, that's people who dealt with near-death experiences. Well, people in the restaurant business, I have the first work PTSD. And I will say, if anybody else can say they have PTSD based on the restaurant business, maybe they left the restaurant business. I've known many people who have left the restaurant business. Because they were not comfortable doing what they were doing in a restaurant business, whether it's management, or dishwasher, or server, or cook, or preparer. I'm still in the restaurant business for 20 years, and I have done it. I have worked in a preparia. I have done it. I'm not. No, I cannot say I have not done it. I'm not comfortable in it. And this is the story of why. Actually, there was a little bit shorter story why. This is the long version. This is the story of what Classic Italy did to me. They caused my PTSD, the work version. And what the work version is, people will think this is crazy. And I'll acknowledge that. I will say so. Okay. It was medium business. It was not slow by any means. It was not slow. It was medium business. And they needed another person to prepare food. To prepare in the back end. I don't even remember what I was doing. There's so many prepare things to cut up and bag and put in containers. So many countless things. I don't even remember what it was. I got pulled away from the dish area, and it was the manager that did this. I think only a manager can do this. I want you to do this, I want you to do that. Only a manager can order you around, and that's one of the also biggest problems. I'm going to also talk about Classic Italy, is people trying to order you around, and they're not management. Only management can order you around. There'll be another story coming. Anyway, when I was pulled away from dish, I was volunteered, not asked, would you mind? The words no. Classic Italy would never say, would you mind? No. They never said those words. No, we need you. I need you. I don't care what you're doing. Okay. I need you in the prepare area. Well, at first I wasn't watching the dish area. Once they pulled me away into bagging something, it was in the container, whatever it was, and the manager left. Either went back into the dining room or the cook line, not sure. And I was there very shortly, within in less than 5 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. 4 is pushing it. I'd say 2 to 3 with a very short time. Then the business picked up, and this happened all the time to me when it came to proportioning. In many restaurants I've worked in, the moment I began portioning, I could hear the dishes. I could hear things being dropped at the counter, and the whole dish area would fill up within listen. I would take trash out. Even where I work now, I take trash out, and everything build up very quickly. Taking trash out, and within 2 minutes, the dish area would fill up. I get scared seeing dish build up. Most dishwashers would want that. I've encountered many dishwashers that want that. Either they'd go in a portion area or do something else, clean up something, and they want the dish area to build up. Then they have something to do. Well, that's their point of view. That's what they want, not me. Going back to what happened, when I was portioning and I wasn't really paying attention. This is where it started. The PTSD it started. This is the beginning. When I was proportioning and I was not paying attention to how bad or how built up the dish area, dishes and whatever it was, how much the counter was building up and filling up. Server it says, where's the dishwasher at? I'm not sure if they say where I am. The server walked up to me and says, no, we need this, we need this, we need this, we need that. Well, I'm doing, and then she was practically begging me, we need this, we need to work. It's the medium went to almost very busy. It was just about there, from medium to very busy. I left the portioning and went over to dish to clean up, and I knew I could get it done very fast. I was at dish area. I said I could clear it very fast. I was about halfway to 3/4 done, cleared the dish area, barely half, when the manager says, "Why are you at dish? You're supposed to be portioning." The server, I don't care what a server needed. I'm telling you what to do. You don't get to. They don't give you orders. I give you the orders. No, I'm in charge here. Get back over to portion. No, get back over in the prepare. I went back over to prepare. Then the argument started. This was not a server to ask me about we need dishes. It was a manager. The manager we needed dishes, and it went. Remember, I went from medium to busy, very busy. The manager said, I need you over, clear the dish up. Well, the other manager wanted me, and here comes the argument. One manager, and this was a female manager, I don't even remember her name. Classic Italy changed so many managers. And I said that Classic Italy had a revolving door with staff. They had a revolving door with managers. Classic Italy and another place had a major revolving door with managers. Well, I guess it happens at all restaurants. But this manager, it literally became a tug of war. You would think this became a physical tug of war. If I had not gone back to prepare or dish, they would have grabbed me hand to hand. It almost seemed like it was going to become that. The manager, one manager says, "Well, we need people. I need him a dish. Well, I need a person. I need him to do this." The managers were arguing between each other. Guess what happened? I went over to dish. This became a tug of war. The manager who put me on prep said, "As soon as you clear dish, go back to prep." Go back and finish that. That was a tug of war. It wasn't even physical. It didn't even. I swear, I thought they were gonna grab my hands and arms, pull me between each other. That memory stuck with me. So it became the PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. You would think that's crazy. That only happens when you see something that's a death experience. I've got the first Vork version. Getting pulled between the management, saying, "No, I want him there. No, I want him over there." I was not trained to. I was not started as a prepare person, and management argued, "I need him there. I don't need him over there." Classic Italy's management. Okay, this particular manager, not all. I've always. One manager asked me once at another location, "Wasn't I your worst manager?" No. I'm even going to acknowledge the name, and I'm not going to. I said I would not acknowledge the last name. James. James was the all-time worst manager. He was the one that pulled me away, trying to pull me away into dish, and he absolutely did nothing when it come to physical. He was practically a lieutenant in the military, which my father, a Vietnam veteran, have always said that people in the military do not like lieutenants because they order you around, the micromanager. They would order you around and do absolutely nothing. Now, I'm not saying micromanage people, the micromanaging. I said micromanagers, you do that with people that are brand new. But I need you to do this. I need you. When people order you, no, I need you over there. No, I need you over there. Managers were trying to pull me apart like a tug of war. But this James, he was a micromanager, but he didn't do. I never saw him on cook line. Never saw him on prepare. Never saw him serve. He would host, seat people. This guy was not hands-on. I could physically describe him, but no, I won't. And then later on, then at one point, he got a lot of managers can be very wonderful at being personal. They'll talk about your personal life, good and the bad. This guy had no business talking to people about their personal lives because he got insulting, he got rude, he crossed the line with personal situations. And with me, he made a bad joke about my family. I had to stand there and take it to protect the job, protect the my paycheck. And he got very, very rude about my family, and I stood there and took it. And years later, I told this story about him. I swear I'd hit him if I ever see him again. I gotta hold back from that part. Anyway, any place I ever worked, at least two other locations, I did go to continue. I did prepare. I did portion, but I would watch dish and see if it's getting built up. My eye focus would be on the dish area. I did not focus because of what happened in Classic Italy and James, and that between the tug of war the two managers, I would never be comfortable with portioning ever again. I'm scared to death and frightened of it. There's another thing I would say, but it's really hard. I was told about making these videos that a bad image would hurt the restaurant business. I made a really bad joke about portioning, and I said this to people that know Karen and Danielle and the other girl. I told a very bad joke. It was funny to my point of view. I won't say the joke. People say, "Oh, tell a joke." No. There's a lot of really major negative situations I'll be telling about Classic Italy. I made a very bad joke, and I have only told the joke in person. I won't tell the joke to the internet because I could get in serious trouble. But I had to tell why I'm scared and frightened of preparing food, portioning. I will clean anything a manager or the cook serves, whatever they want. I will make it brand new, like it was out of a package. It's just been delivered. I'll clean it brand new. But I'm absolutely scared to death of preparing. It's just because of what happened at Classic Italy at that one moment. I will. Here's the PTSD itself. If anybody ever asked me to just do this really quick, I will transport back in time to that moment of that tug of war, that moment when the managers argue pulling me back between dish and prepare. I will literally be transported back in time to that moment. I'll be right there. So I had to tell that story. Yeah, now it's time to tell the dirt story. I've told so many problems. My stories here and this about Classic Italy. They go back and forth, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. Yeah, I know. I tell the dirt story. I've told this often, and it's one of the most disturbing stories I have of my 20 years. I don't know why I was outside. I was cleaning the parking lot. It's part of my duties as a dishwasher in the opening. I do it now. But I was out at the 11 o'clock mark when they open and patrons and customers come in, families come in. When you're here, your family. That's Classic Italy's quote. It's promo. Everybody knows who I'm talking about. This business, this particular restaurant. When I said that promo. Well, the dirt story is. Well, I felt like dirt when I said I don't know why I was out at 11 o'clock in the morning. Should have been like 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock. Anybody I've ever trained, I say you will not be back. Running prepware, any containers, anything at all. You will not be back to the dishwashing area until at least at 10 o'clock. You've got all kinds of cleaning to do and preparing for the business at 11 o'clock. But I was outside at 11 o'clock. I guess finishing up. I don't know what I was. Maybe I was peeling up gum. I was on the corner of the outside of the place, right in front doors, but it's like a V curve, and then in comes a vehicle, a mother and father with two little kids, and they walking by me toward the front door. But no, before they were walking toward the pathway to the front door. And I'm sitting down the sidewalk or kneeling down at the sidewalk, picking something up off the ground. The father looks at me, looks at his kids. He looks at his kids and points to me and says, "That's why I want you to get an education." Now you tell me you don't feel like dirt. Most people, I think they were retaliated and F off or go to hell, kiss my ass. I'm using foul language here. Anybody would have retaliated. I did not. Protect the job. Even servers and managers, they've met customers who can be really rude. They've been rude to servers. They will retaliate on managers. They don't want to hear it. Whatever a customer, their patrons, their guests don't like, they don't have the patience for waiting for a table or waiting for their food to be cooked or how they're being served or who they're being served by, or everybody, these people always complain, make a complaint. They deal with these customers and probably much of servers, like a good server will ignore it and walk away and then make the complaint in the back of the kitchen with us and tell us no, there's a customer being rude, being a jerk. I wonder who would have, anyone in my place would how they would have retaliated, or what they would have said to that guy, that father, that so-called father who points to his kids and says, "Don't work for the restaurant business." He says to me, "I'm the reason. Look at what this guy's doing. He's on the ground cleaning the parking lot. You want to be like that when you grow up?" That's the reason I want you to get an education, is what he said to his children. I had to tell the dirt story. I've told this story often.
I didn't talk about much about Classic Italy's food, and it's an Italian restaurant. And we were all doing at least 8 to 10 hours, 8 9 hours, especially work days, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Why no, and that's just my shift. Many people were there to the night shift. If they came in at 4 o'clock, they're all the way there till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And they'll take their breaks. They'll order food and eat, and you never got around to that. Anyway, as some people would know, especially my wife would know, I am not a pasta. I am not a fan of pasta or spaghetti, whatever. No, the Classic Italy was a huge deal when it opened up. It was the first major Italian food type restaurant. Pasta, spaghetti, lasagna, you name it, they sold it. They had one promotion that you could order so many bowls of pasta, never ending. Everybody knows what place I'm talking about with that promotion. Well, because I'm not a huge fan of pasta, in the morning, however, the two things the one thing that got made first, actually, they were, was management or cook line. They were boiling the spaghetti or linguine, or I can't even name what it was. There's so many pasta dishes. They were selling so many different ones. The breadsticks they had, it didn't get made till about, I think it was a host actually, that for host or server. I know Pauline, she was involved in making them. It was a separate oven just for the breadsticks. It just got baked lightly and got a light butter spread all over them. And I can't remember his name. He was an okay guy. He among the kitchen staff. I can't remember his name. Very nice guy, older gentleman. I think in his 60s. I think he was the only thing he ever did was make the 3 soups that Classic Italy made. I don't know if they advanced to make 4 or more, but the kitchen appliance that for soups only held 3 containers. There were only 3 soups, and I don't remember the other 3, but I know one became minestrone. I don't remember the other 3, but one we all fell in love with. It was so good. It's a funny story I had to tell. It's all we ever ate, because the pasta dishes or whatever else I made, it made too long for the staff to ever be around to eating. Sometimes something went wrong with the order, or whatever reason, they would give it to us a dish, 1 or 2 of us, or 3 of us, or somebody at the dish. If it was 3 of us, 2 or 3 of us, they would order their own meal and they would share it with me, which was very nice. I remember it was a very few fond memories. That another dishwasher who helped me put stuff away, he would order a meal and he would share it with me. Yes, there were a few fond, good memories of certain people who were like that. Or some dishes that were supposed to go out to the customers, something went wrong, never got ordered. I don't know, something. And we said, do you want to have this? Well, we'd take it no matter what it was, even if I wasn't a fan of pasta. But the funny thing about the soups and breadsticks was, they made a lot of breadsticks. for the oven to be picked up. And the soups especially, what I think was minestrone, I'm not sure. So I don't remember what the other three soups were. But by the time we opened up, the guy making the soups, he practically had to remake all the soups by 11:30 because the opening kitchen staff, including me, were practically empty out the one container of soup. He had to remake the soup just for the 11 o'clock, the incoming customers. And we practically were stealing it. Oh, it's I remember one uptight time says, "I'm sick and tired of making soup, and I'm sick of making soup, and I gotta remake it. Everybody's got to stop eating the soup." The managers never said a word, whether they did or did not know we were taking soup and hiding it some way. We were taking a soup and taking breadsticks. It's the only thing that really was good about the food. I mean, the pasta, like lasagna. I am not a fan of lasagna. I don't like the look of it. Nah, it would turn me off. I just don't like lasagna. Nah. Not even anything. I would actually remember I said that. If a second dishwasher or somebody from the cook line, if manager said, "Oh, you guys want to eat this?" I would dig the meat out. I think it was the guy at soup who was making the meat, separate meat, cooked it separately, and then would be added as part of the expo line, which is another word for cook line. It would be added extra to all pasta dishes. But they said the funny thing about the soup is the guy making the soup would eventually get uptight that he'd have to refill the containers by 11 or 11:30, that we were all eating the soups on him before it was ready to be made to the customers. Just a story. Another. For us, the joke that I was not a fan of pasta, so it was the joke that I was eating breadsticks and the soup's constantly more than the pasta. That's the only thing I was able to get a hold to eat. Since I had to tell that quick story of what I did eat, if I ate at all at Classic Italy.
Now, to end the story of Classic Italy, yes, I've been fired and I told that story. I'm going to add on the ultimate final joke. Now, there's a guy I don't work with him often, but he was a server that worked with, he was there from by pretty much day one and saw everything that went on. He and I agreed on one thing without a doubt about Classic Italy. As popular and amount of business that place did, the food was not that good. Well, there's been a beginning, and there's been a middle, and now here's the ending. Before I get to how Classic Italy finally came to an end, I was gonna say the how I lost Classic Italy. Yes, I was fired. It was it's amazing that all the problems I've ever had. I just started up another story. The anger. Working at Classic Italy. Yeah, one of the jokes I ever made was 8 years there. Working 8 years there, I would know what my father went through in Vietnam. And I'm going to say, how can you compare that to a war? Work at Classic Italy. The amount of business they did. Yeah, it's a joke. That place is a joke. It's definitely what you would call boot camp for restaurants. How arrogant they were, how arrogant the staff was, and there was no quality. Everybody. I'd say 70% of the staff was so arrogant. I said nobody got along with each other. Well, that leads into the firing, the day of the firing. It was in very early January 2009. And I said a cook line, servers, and me as a dishwasher, tempers flared all the time. One particular cook, he had been mouthing off constantly. And I don't even remember how the fight started, the argument started. But foul language started flying between me and him. And it was an accumulated 8 years. I've always often talked to people say that my anger would be growing like a volcano. I'll hold it in, and eventually that bubble's gonna burst. I said the entire staff nobody got along with each other, not just me. Well, I think it's just started off, back and forth. F you, go to hell. This verbal foul language back and forth between this one particular cook. And then a manager who was just coming in for the day, it had been like 10:30 in the morning, and the manager walked in between us. And I was fairly okay with this manager. Fairly. And the moment I said go to hell back to him, she was directly in front of me within a foot. And she felt threatened. She didn't realize I was yelling at the cook. I didn't even tell her I was yelling at the cook. The cook didn't retaliate. Because maybe the man... I was surprised he even cared or knew the manager was standing between us. And the cook, he had the entire cook line in front of him. All the counters in front of him. So he was a good 4 feet away. She was about a foot right in front of me, walking by. So as far as she was concerned, I threatened her by telling her to go to hell. Next thing I know, within a day, I think it may have been that same day. Yeah. I was first sent home early. It was at 11 o'clock in the morning. She apparently had called the company, told the company I threatened her by yelling "go to hell," and then in the affidavit, so-called affidavit, I said that exactly what happened. Me and this cook were foul languaging, we're mouthing off back and forth to each other, and she crossed our path. But he didn't retaliate for her to hear what was going on between me and him. And she said, "Okay, David, go home." I had no idea. No, I was so fed up with that guy. I don't know. Maybe it was my hours. I don't know. But she said, "Go home." Okay. And then because I know, I was being said to stay home for 3 days. My wife said, "You're being suspended." I think that's what they said over the phone. You're being suspended for 3 days. I honestly didn't understand what was going on. When I was called in for a meeting, a temporary outside general manager and one of our own managers were there and said, write down exactly what was set, how the situation occurred. That they claimed I threatened the manager. I said, no, I wrote down exactly what happened, all the foul language, at the entire situation and the conversation between me and this cook, verbatim. I wrote down exactly as it says. And the outside general manager says, "I'm here to inform you you're terminated." And I said, "What am I supposed to tell my wife?" The other manager says, "I know, I'm sorry." And their director of operations, Rebecca, Wicked Witch of the West. She says a likely story. What the affidavit said. Now, here's the problem with the word affidavit. That's a lawyer's term for writing down a situation. Put it in writing. I think that has to be done in a lawyer's office. A lawyer has to be present. Right? The managers use the word affidavit to. It's a writing of what exactly happened in the situation. But a lawyer has to be present, or you gotta be in a lawyer's office. How many times Classic Italy broke the law, broke the rules? It was their place. They make the rules. But and I was so afraid of not having a job. No, I left, and um, I went to about 3 or 4 different restaurants, applied for work, and my wife was calling me, "Where are you?" And I said, "Yeah, I was terminated." "Okay, come on, don't worry about it. We'll you can go look for work in next couple days." I did find work in another restaurant, of course, local nearby, and that manager would say that a friend of his was also terminated by Classic Italy, and hey, come work for me. Similar, same thing when I have my current job. Come, enough for that place. Come work for me full time. Yeah, that's the story of being fired from Classic Italy.